This podcast was produced by OAR FM Dunedin with support from New Zealand On the Air.
Welcome to the OI podcast, the Otago Institute podcast, shouting out the arts, sciences and mataranga Māori. Everything and anything from the worlds of arts, sciences and mataranga Māori. I feel like I just said that. Sorry. Brought to you by the Otago Institute, the Otago branch of the Royal Society for Arts and Sciences. Kia ora, I'm Dr. Barb.
And I'm Trudy. And, you know, as they say, the more things you say it, the more times people remember it, or the other way around, or something like that. But, yeah.
Hey, today's show is called Don't Eat the Pink Snow, and it's a fabulous show here today. In the studio, we've got live Pam McKinlay, and we're talking about art.
No, science, aren't we?
No, I think we're talking about science and art, maybe.
We're talking about art science.
Art science, not science art, but art science. See,
Sci-art's different.
Science different. We're
like
talking about
pink
art.
snow.
You see, we're talking
different.
It's there. Hey, welcome to the show. Welcome to the studio.
Oh, welcome. Thank you for having me.
Pam is an independent curator and research artist loosely affiliated with the Dunedin School of Art. Pam holds a Bachelor of Home Science and a Bachelor of Art History and Phenomenology of Religion. So did I get that right? Phenomenology?
Phenomenology.
Oh, phenomenon. Phenomenon. Phenomenology.
Yes, that'll do.
That's
Religious studies.
Religious studies. So what does phenomenology actually mean?
Kind of religious studies. Kind of what is the phenomena that is common across all these religions? What is it that people are feeling in their religion, and how are they expressing that? And
that makes sense, right? Phenomenon.
Yeah.
Ology.
Yeah.
It's the study of phenomenon
and religion.
And religion. Oh,
so it's not quite anthropology, and it's not quite other things. It's all about the expression of people through their faith.
Wow. Oh, that's actually makes way more sense. I shouldn't be making fun of it. I feel bad now. Sorry, everybody out there. Sorry, Pam.
You can't laugh at yourself. Who can you laugh at? So, yeah.
Oh, goodness me. Hey, Pam, welcome to the show. Now,
Yes, Barbara.
Don't eat the pink snow. Why is it don't eat the pink snow and rather than don't eat the yellow snow?
And does that mean we can eat the yellow snow? No.
Well, I think don't eat the yellow snow comes from a story where you don't go where the huskies. You don't eat the snow because that's where the huskies have been.
Yeah. Right.
So that's probably wise advice in Alaska.
Right.
And
or anywhere really,
circle,
I think.
Anywhere there's been huskies or mountain climbers.
Yeah, I think just don't eat the yellow snow is fine. But why don't eat the pink snow?
So pretty much it was a title because everybody corrects me. So I wanted people to have a title where people, it's the title of a weaving. The weaving showing in Nelson at the moment.
Is this a weaving you've done?
It's a weaving I have done. It's showing at the moment in the National Contemporary Textile Awards in Nelson and Refinery Gallery.
And I believe a big congratulations are in order there.
Well, I got selected to be there, so that's my win.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I think it's, she's been really humble here. I think she's been really humble here because it's actually a show for the finalists, and it's a large pool of people who put forward or artists who put forward their work.
So, I'm
and
really
then are selected from that as a few who are then the finalists, I guess. And the idea of finalists, does that mean there's more awards to be handed out at a later date?
They've had some awards. They had the awards last Friday. So
wow. And so this is in Nelson. So how long does that show for? Do we know?
I don't know. End of June.
Right. So
And then
I should have looked that up. Sorry.
Will it tour?
Tour, yeah.
No.
Will we here in Dunedin get a chance to see this amazing weaving?
You will get a chance to see that weaving later on, and I'll talk about that later. But at the moment, it's just it's an annual awards in Nelson,
right?
And so I was just really chuffed to get into it.
Oh, that's fantastic. So tell us a bit about this weaving. How is it? What's it made of? How does it look?
So as a weaving, it's called a complex weaving. So as a coder, you know that you have a program and then you have an algorithm. So that's the same as weaving. So weavers program their loom with a threading kind of pattern, and they have what's called a lift pattern, which is actually the algorithm that drives it. So it's all done by hand, but it's a an exercise in madness. It's kind of what you would do with a jacquard weaving if you didn't have the machine, and I've done it all in my head.
Wow. Okay. So how big are we talking here?
Well, it's long. It's 2.2 metres long, but it's only very narrow because I'm weaving a suite of glacial pieces. So I've been weaving these for 10 years, so each one is only about half a metre wide because they're building up to a bigger piece.
So this is part of a bigger piece.
Yes, and it's called Don't Eat the Pink Snow because I'm always making things that I want people to have a conversation about. So I want them to have a conversation about climate change and the science. And the lens this time was the pink snow. So pink snow or watermelon snow or is a snow algae. Sometimes it's called glacier blood.
Right.
So it gives you a little bit of a sense of what it looks like.
Yep.
So it's these rivulets of pink snow that are kind of coming out of the snowpack or the ice pack. So
and what's the algae living on there?
Well, it's algae.
It's just living on the sun, right?
It's just
using the glacier for.
It's just photosynthesizing. It's an algae. That's what it does. It's the same as if it was living in a pond, it would be pond scum.
Yeah.
So it's snow scum, except it's pink and pretty,
But it's
and
pink.
everyone you shouldn't eat it. But maybe technically you can eat it, but you probably shouldn't because where it's most prevalent, there's quite often dust and dirt and maybe bacteria. So So maybe you don't eat the pink snow.
Don't eat the
pink snow.
Yeah.
Hold on. So is it on the snow or on the rock?
No, it's in the snow.
In the snow.
Because it's an aquatic algae.
Oh,
So it's got to stay damp. I'm imagining it doesn't want to dry out.
So it's a green algae, and then it's got a secondary pigment, which is an astaxanthin, in addition to its chlorophyll.
Right.
So
that's why it's getting the pink.
Yeah. So when it's really cold and it's warming up, it's very red, but then later on, you've seen this with a lot of plants that have got red and green in them. Later on, it flips over to the green.
Right.
But at this stage, it's red. So the Latin name for it is Chlamydomonas nivalis.
Nivalis being the snow part.
Yeah. And but of course, it makes the snow darker.
Right.
So therefore, it's going to absorb more of the sun's heat, and then that has
that whole albedo.
Yeah, it's reducing the albedo effect. And that's where it's going to therefore affect how fast the glaciers are melting, and then the feedback loop from that for climate change. But also a lot of communities downstream from glaciers depend on a steady water supply in terms of wet water from the glacier runoff. And so if that summer water has been increasingly melted during a winter period because of the pink snow, there's less water supply further down. So it's big news in the Himalayas and in the Midwest because the American glaciers.
So do we have it here, the pink snow?
Yes. So the one that I wove this time was actually from the Ahuriri Valley in the UNESCO Geopark up the back there.
Yeah.
And up Canyon Creek.
Right. So what's your process when you start to do it? Do you go find a glacier and then look at a piece of it and say, okay, that's the slice that I would like to take for my muse or my inspiration?
Usually, yes.
And then, so you've been round to see all these glaciers that you're taking slices from.
I didn't get to see, but I have done a lot of work up at Haupapa with glacier carving and things like that. But this one, I knew I wanted to do a piece about the pink snow, and I asked a lot of hikers and mountain climbers if they could find me some snow and bring me photos,
right?
Because it's usually in places that I can't go as a normal person with normal walking shoes.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Oh no, that makes sense. So how many are in this series so far?
I've done 10 so far.
You've done 10 so far. So that's 10 different glaciers that you've looked at?
Yeah, and so that includes places like Otjakul in Iceland, which is an extinct glacier.
Oh, wow.
So
what does that mean? It's just run out of ice?
It's a valley.
It's just a moraine,
Yeah, it's just a moraine. It's run out of ice.
There's a little circle at the top, which is very pretty, but it's not healthy for a glacier to just be a little circle at the top. It's like a little donut.
I was just thinking, like putting aside the whole climate change part, I was just thinking of like the word extinct for a glacier, because if it suddenly got colder again and there was more snow deposition, presumably that would turn back into a glacier, is it?
Well, that would turn it into a snowfield or an ice pack, but not a glacier.
But eventually it would go into a
Well, I
glacier
don't
again,
know.
wouldn't it? I don't know.
If the rings just left, I mean, there's not enough to reconstruct.
And Iceland's fairly volcanic.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. I don't know. I was thinking about that extinct. Do they really go extinct, or are they just intermittent?
Dormant,
They come in dormant, maybe.
Yeah. Well, they've taken tens
Or
of
ephemeral.
thousands of years. So a glacier is tens of thousands of years of ice pack, which is compressed and is moving slowly down the mountain. But they're fed in the ice fields above.
Yeah, but then I was thinking, like obviously it would take tens of thousands of years to regrow it.
Yeah.
But is it really extinct, or is it just not there?
It's not there.
Or does it really matter? It probably doesn't really matter. I'm being really picky here, honestly.
The Prime Minister of Iceland put a plaque on the mountain that said, "Farewell, you're extinct."
Gosh.
I thought that was fairly conclusive at the time.
Although, I don't know.
So Prime Minister wasn't,
are we giving credence?
They're not permanent, are they?
No slurs against
I
the
think
particular Prime Minister of Iceland. But
you're going to have to take that up with Reykjavik. It's above my pay grade.
I can feel another election coming on.
Yeah. So I think what we need someone who studies glaciers to come on the show.
Well, we might have someone coming on later in the year.
Okay,
so you can tell us about
so that's what we'll do. We'll have someone coming on about glaciers, and we'll ask all these questions to the glacier expert.
Yes.
So
that's a fabulous idea. Don't ask the weaver.
Don't ask the weaver, because of course you're working in partnership. That's the whole point of art science, right?
Yes.
So you're the art part of the art science.
Yes, and so I was actually for a long time, because I did know I wanted to weave the pink snow story. And so I was looking for somebody, and actually ended up tacked it onto a conversation I was having with Lynn Hoffman when we were talking about coccolithophores of all things.
Ah, right.
And said, "Oh, by the way, can you help me find somebody who knows about the snow algae?"
Yeah.
And she goes, "I know about the snow algae." And she was the
right.
first person I'd found in Dunedin that knew what I was talking about. So
right.
go Lynn Hoffman.
Ooh,
There you go.
Shout
Go
out.
Lynn Hoffman.
Yeah.
Right, so maybe we should get Lynn Hoffman.
Yeah,
on.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's
So how does art and science work together? Like, what's the relationship like? Does art inform science? Does science inform art?
how does that process go? I guess for you in particular.
If you're looking at it, it's a pun because it's art. We articulate the data. So we might be looking at the graphs, but we throw them out as soon as we've seen them and there's no death by PowerPoint involved either. So we're looking at the stories that are underlying the science. So
right. And I guess
there's
it's
no heat maps involved.
Yeah, honestly, I hate the whole term heat maps. Pam's probably heard me go on about this before, but heat maps, they're not about heat/temperature, and they're not maps in any shape or form. It's some weird thing that, I'm sorry for all the microbiologists out there, microbiologists have come up with, which from someone who works on temperature and spatial geography stuff and maps, calling something a heat map, which is neither about temperature or maps, does my head in. And I've had full-blown arguments with microbiologists about these things, and they're rubbish at actually displaying any sort of interpretive anything. Honestly, I hate them with a passion. That's my bit.
Are you sure? Now?
Yeah, no, actually, there's very few things that I have a very strong conviction on, Trudy, and heat maps is one of them.
Well, having said that, I have woven heat maps before.
Wow, that's a different thing. That's
I've got I wove so actually Christine Keller, we wove, we had an idea for a genetics piece years ago, and we wove a heat map, which is now sitting in Victoria University, their beautiful new biological sciences building.
Wow, nice. Right, talking back.
Well, I haven't finished about the algae yet.
Oh, I was going to say, just going back to the algae.
Gosh.
That's exactly where I was going. I was thinking we're getting sidetracked here, going back to the algae.
Yes. Oh, well, no, so there's quite a lot of research going on into the snow algae. So it's a hot topic in the sense that some people just think it's there and then it's not there.
Right.
But any stories to do with ice, ice doesn't just melt. It's always got stories that have got to do with people. So we always have to think about, how is the ice affecting people and the downstream effects of what these glaciers are doing when they melt. So there's a project called the Living Snow Project, which is actually spending a lot of time looking at the glaciers and the things that are changing their rate of melting. Right. So things like Or if you have an eruption, you get the ash that arrives, or pollution, you get ash that arrives. If you're anywhere near the Gobi Desert, you get sand that arrives.
Right.
So what are the things that land on the snow that are accelerating the ice pack melting? So, and look, and it's working because we're sitting here talking about weaving, and look how much science we've covered.
I know, it's crazy, hey?
Although I do have to say there's about 3 or 4 episodes on Doctor Who about living snow, and it wasn't at all pleasant at all. It was out to get you.
I don't remember them. Where was that? Was that the ancient series or just the new series?
No, it was whatever, Capaldi and Victorian and living snow.
I never got into Capaldi as Doctor Who. And now we're really getting off topic, but I
thought it's well, there you go. There's art,
well,
drama,
to bring it
talking
back
about
to
snow.
topic, Doctor Who usually wore a pretty cool scarf.
That's true. He does have some very fine fabrics there, and in most of his representations or her.
And they were hand knitted, they were handcrafted.
Yes. Yeah,
you didn't see him running off in any sort of,
Yeah, no, the costuming is very good. And
commercial
I think
knockoff.
the science is quite good as well.
I think it's just another way to raise interesting
things.
items that could lead
that's
people
true.
in all sorts of directions.
So one of the things I like to do when I'm weaving, so the title is obviously, it's a drawing. It's like your clickbait.
Yeah, it's your
Before you're
clickbait.
weaving. It's your weaving clickbait. So, there's 2 things there. One is the title, obviously, of this piece, but the other thing is the weaving is quite beautiful. I had another 2 pieces selected last year for these awards as well.
Oh, wow.
Another glacier piece, and that one was called Farewell to Haupapa.
Oh, right.
So, and that one I definitely did tramp around up in the mountains, looking at flotillas of ice on the lake there. And in the story of Farewell to Haupapa, so the Haupapa was actually named as a glacier by Māori explorers. I can't remember which one, sorry, off the top of my head. But there's a whole maturanga Māori of the, is it Ruamoko that did the exploration of the South Island and all the naming?
Oh.
Anyway.
You've lost me. I'll find out and get back to you people.
But anyway, there was no name for the lake because the lake wasn't there.
So that makes total sense.
So
right?
we're weaving about a place that didn't need naming because it wasn't there.
Yeah. Right.
And now it's a blooming great lake.
Right.
And then now we can have some linguistics fun. So I went up there when there was a great big carving event, and it was very good.
So where exactly is this place?
It's Tasman Glacier.
Haupapa.
So
right, okay.
It was a great season for tourism because there are all these icebergs on the lake, which is not a great thing for the glacier.
No.
So that's why I went there, because it was like, a tragic, tragic month for the glacier.
Yeah.
So, but when you've got icebergs on a lake and they're floating, they're called a flotilla.
Right, just like the Spanish.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's the Spanish Armada.
Armada,
Yeah.
it was
they're
a
not going to
flotilla
blow
of
anybody
boats
up.
makes
So anyway, but when they ground at the exit point of where they go into the river, it's called a conference.
A conference, nice.
So the Norwegians have thought of all this for us because they often have icebergs blocking their fjords.
Right.
It's a conference of icebergs.
That makes sense.
So, and then when you've got a conference happening, you can't get past it.
That makes sense. So you've got the flotilla.
And the conference.
And the cotilla, and the conference then it runs
into.
I don't actually remember.
And
when
the
did
grinding.
this happen? I don't remember this happening even. Maybe I was out of the country.
It happens every year, but this year was particularly spectacular. And I did take some really gorgeous photos. They look like blue licorice, all sorts. Really gorgeous photos, but so wrong because of what they are.
True.
And then I printed those just recently for another exhibition at the Beautiful Science Gallery. So we get art in everywhere. And
so the Beautiful Science Gallery, that's at the Otago Museum, right? Tahura.
Yeah. So and so they were printed on silk of just some of these floating icebergs.
Cool.
Floating around in the middle of the...
And like you're saying, they're printed on silk. Can you do like a long run and people can have them as scarves and things? Is that possible?
Yeah, these ones were printed potentially as scarves, but they're part of another project as well.
So is there an end goal here? Like, are you going to collate all these pieces into one big, or is it just...
There
Yeah.
is
So what's the ETA, the estimated time of?
2026.
Oh, that's not far away.
No.
Like, it's a long way away, but in the scheme of you've already done 10 years
Actually,
worth of
it's
pieces.
not far away at all, but yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no. All right. So is that for is there a special
Yep.
exhibition or a special date? Or is it-
Yeah, so it's just a need to know at the moment.
Oh, it's just need to. Oh, she's been cagey. It's a need to know. Gosh, she's not even telling us.
Yeah, but
Well, I have to twist
weavings,
her.
all of the weavings are going on display next year as part of a touring exhibition called Art and Science and the Textiles Curious.
And the textiles curious. That's what I am. I'm the textiles curious because I love fabrics and knitting.
Yeah, so there's a
Textiles.
gallery up in Opunaki, which sounds like it's the middle of nowhere, but it is the surface design associated gallery in Aotearoa. It is like
Where is
it is-
Opunaki?
It's in Taranaki. It's in the middle of oil land.
Isn't it the
Oh.
gumboot capital in New Zealand or something? Or was that?
I think that's Taihape.
Yeah, that's
Mm.
Taihape.
Oh.
I think Pam's right there. That's Taihape.
Yeah, so we're sort of in the middle of New Zealand oil and gas land. So it's near the Govett Brewster and all those beautiful galleries. It's on the
I know
Taranaki
where
Arts
I am,
Trail.
yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
it's a really lovely place.
I didn't even realise it was a Taranaki Arts Trail. We should
on
do
the-
that. Maybe we should
it's
do
on
a
the
show.
Taranaki Arts
Wouldn't it be
Trail.
fun to do like a
We
touring
could tour.
show?
We could go on tour.
We could go on a touring show. That would be so fun. Or we should definitely do that, Trudy. Let's do that. We'll do a touring
Tour.
show.
I think so.
Oh, that'd be
Yeah.
awesome. You can come with us if you like, Pam.
We could go
could be a
when I've
guide.
got the show up there. Would make the most sense.
Yeah.
Because I'm going there anyway.
Oh, yeah. No, that'd be fantastic. Oh, so the show is going to be
In March 2025.
March 2025. Oh, that's not
That's
far
not
away.
far away at all.
That's
Yeah.
like
I booked it in last year.
that's like
Oh,
9
cool.
months away. Right. Okay, cool.
So when you're actually booking into galleries, you're usually having to work 18 months to 24 months out,
right.
sometimes 3 years out.
Yeah, I think
But
that's
it gives you time to finish stuff. So
Yeah.
does it?
yeah, but I think that
yeah.
that is a big part where scientists and artists, when they do collaborations, actually, and that's not to say that science projects, some of them are very long, but also academics do tend to be last minute type people. So if they think, oh yeah, like they get everything finished and then they're like, oh, it'd be cool to do a show about this. Can we do it like next week?
I quite often,
Do you have that problem when you're working with scientists?
all the time, but we'll move on.
And it just seems like the scale of things is sort of
different,
So
yeah.
like the piece that it's showing at the moment took 18 months to weave.
yeah.
So, you've got to have an idea in your head and just commit to it.
And you sort of already book the gallery for it ahead of time. I don't know. Maybe it's just that scientists don't like to commit to when they're going to finish a project because we start projects that are clearly going to take 5, 6, any amount of time, years to finish. But we wouldn't commit to organising an entire exhibition in
But
18
surely you
months.
write or research to share. So
Yes, we do.
know, but you never
Yes.
think about the sharing, whereas art is all about
Well,
sharing.
I don't
Perhaps
know.
I don't
No,
know.
I think we should. Well, I don't know. I think for myself as a scientist, I was always been quite committed to the sharing, but then I have a little bit of an art background as well, so maybe I don't know.
And so we've done so all of the art and science I do is usually done under a project umbrella. So every year we have a different theme
Yeah.
in the project, and so the glacier kind of works have come out of a theme that was art and water.
Right.
So that art and water theme was 2019, but we're still making work from that theme. And I don't know who glaciologist is, but I've met quite a lot of glaciologists when we did art and earth.
Yeah. Because you did an art and ice as well, did you? Or am I imagining
I
it?
did art and ice, but that was in water.
Oh,
So
right.
did-
Because there was a pair of really cool knitted socks that were with snow crystals on them, I believe. Anyway, I think it was that, and I can't remember the name of the book. I'm sorry, I've forgotten your name just on the tip of my tongue.
So
they're
these
beautiful. They're on Ravelry.
projects, do they come out of the Dunedin School of Art, or where did they?
No, they come from Pam. So
Pam,
you're
so
kind of
you
loosely you are loosely kind of
So yes, I do work at the Dunedin School of Art, and then I work on websites. And then I also work in the research department at the Otago Polytechnic, but I only work part-time, and then I have an independent practice.
Right.
Okay, so you
this is
think
part
of
your
a
independent
project,
practice.
and then you bring all sorts of people together.
Yeah, but I'm not
okay.
working with students from the school.
Right.
Because these are quite big research projects
Yeah.
that take a long time.
So they don't really fit into their academic
they don't
calendar.
fit- Yeah, and they don't fit into an academic calendar because we start in August and we'll finish. We start a year ahead and we finish in July, and so we fit into the science festival. Usually we're a wee bit sort of sciencey for the art gallery, and we're just perfectly sciencey for the museum usually,
Right.
and particularly perfectly sciencey for the science festival.
Right. And of
Especially
course
Jerome and Andrea, who are awesome.
Right, yeah. And of course we had Jenny Jant.
Yes.
Yarnt.
Yes, so
Yeah.
she's one of my
here.
people I'm collaborating with this year as
Right.
well. So
Yeah, and we're going to have Connell on as well, talking about
he's
bees
super
later
awesome.
on.
Yeah,
so
super awesome.
he's I think involved with the art and memory as well.
Yeah, so we've got a little group called Be Creative, which is we got a little bit of Curious Mind funding.
Yes, we talked about that with Jenny,
Yes.
didn't we? Yeah, it's
Yeah,
really
so-
cool. Be creative. It's nice. Scientists love puns, and I imagine the artists love puns as well.
Yeah, so it's just a way of doing hands-on participatory art science and getting that kind of kinesthetic memory going when you're actually making something, having conversations, people make something they want to take away. They've created this eco object, which is then sitting on their mentalpiece. They then tell auntie and grandma, look at this thing I made. And then they have a conversation about what was in there. And it's usually, it might be pink algae.
What's an eco object?
It's something that you've made and it has echoes. So it'll have echoes of the conversations you had when you were making
Like
it.
literal echoes, or just like
No.
like a shell? No, just
No. So it's
like metaphorical echoes.
So you draw a picture.
Yeah.
You go to a workshop.
Yeah.
And you draw a picture about this amazing science, and it looks really beautiful. Or you go to a print workshop, if we run a print workshop, and you take this home and you think, oh, this looks really awesome. I'm going to frame it and put it on my mantelpiece. Grandma comes around and says, oh, that's really lovely, dear. What did you do there? And you go, oh, Grandma, that's really cool. That's my native bees, and they're threatened and endangered, and you shouldn't use Roundup.
Oh, right. I see.
So you've got an echo of the conversation
Right.
you had somewhere else.
That makes more sense than an object that's actually echoing at you as you.
But I like the way you're
Talking to it.
thinking. I might make that.
Sorry.
It's a great idea. I should
Sorry.
come here more often.
Well, see, it's really interesting. I always thought objects just gathered dust, and I thought, oh, I'm going to have to go minimalist and throw all this stuff out. And then I read the Hair with the Amber Eyes, and then it reminds you that these aren't just stuff that gather dust. They're objects that tell stories
Yes, yeah.
about you and your past. And
Yeah.
so now,
And I think that's a different when they're sorry, we're getting totally off tangent, but
I'm going to go back on tangent in a minute with that story.
yeah, because there's this thing when people they just get objects from a store that is just an object, right? There's a difference, I think, between those sorts of objects. If you go to the Pottery Barn, whatever it's called here, but on Friends where they buy things, that is just a thing that's just taking up space.
well, it depends on why.
It depends on why you bought. Yeah. But I mean,
Yeah.
there's something that like an object is.
It has meaning.
Yes.
What meaning it has is how meaningful it is.
Yeah,
is
and
that?
I think
So-
too many people have been brainwashed by this idea of Marie Kondo.
Yeah.
But the beautiful thing is Marie Kondo has recanted.
Oh, yeah.
Marie Kondo has children now, and Marie Kondo has Lego lying around her house.
Interesting, yeah. And
Because
it's totally
do you know what
weird.
she said? She says, gosh, it's really difficult to pick everything up
Oh, yeah,
and
no
tidy
kidding.
everything away.
Yeah.
So it just shows you. Don't go listening to all those single people who haven't got children who are telling you how to run your lives.
Yeah, or even
Marie
ones
Kondo.
without dogs. We've just got dog toys everywhere, and every now and again I go and pick them all up and put them all in the basket, and Momo just scatters them everywhere.
I don't even think they have children or dogs.
Oh, yeah,
I think you just need husbands. Oh, no offence, I'm probably offended everybody. Or partners, I should
Yeah.
say, like.
So you just go around your house and pick up your husbands and put
it's-
them in the
Yeah.
basket, tidy them away,
No, but it's
throw
all,
out the ones you don't need.
it's interesting though as well because even part of it, like if you're kind of getting rid of things, it's where you're getting rid of them to as well. Like if you're just throwing them away, then you're
There
just
is no
making.
way. There is
no
no
way,
way.
right?
There is no way. That's the whole point.
it's-
Yes.
And if you're actually like if you've got something that's still useful and functional, then finding it a more appropriate home, like someone who has a use for it if you no longer have a use for it, then that's an entirely different thing to just this throwing away. So that's...
Yes, because there is no away.
Because there's no away, yeah. It's like that skit where they were talking about the oil spill where they towed it out of the environment.
Oh, yeah.
And where did you tow it?
Oh,
it's one of those. It's one of those. The guy does Fred Dagg. It's one of his famous skits. Yeah, and it's true. There is no way, and I think that's the whole thing. So do you do much with recycled art, with recycled
Yes, we're having
materials and?
Yes, I tend to not buy new things, so everything's usually recycled.
Interesting.
Except for so the things I've been weaving with have been items that somebody. So every fibre person has a stash.
Yes, they do. My husband is constantly comparing. He's very good, but I can see it in his eyes. He's like, "What is with this stash?" Yes,
and so
stash.
Most of my stash is like I did very well one year at the Amnesty International fundraiser. I went there for the retro fabrics, which is retro fabric sale. I got there too late. I arrived at 9 o'clock in the morning. I got there too late, but nobody had touched the wool, so I ran off with all the wool. And that was actually my start with starting stash for weaving.
Oh, wow.
And so, but then these are like really special pieces and they're taking a long time to weave. Yeah. So life's too short to weave with bad wool. So I always go
That's
looking.
True, yes.
But actually some of these have come from Christine Keller's stash that she's had for 20 years. She won't mind me telling you that. So I'm decluttering her stash.
Nice.
And there's also used to be a really amazing place called Resew in Hataitai in Wellington, St Vinny's.
Right.
And they had an online shop.
Oh, nice.
And so I got some really beautiful kimono silk skeins from them.
Oh, lovely.
So they're old silk, so it's like ancient stash.
Yeah, no, that sounds lovely. So so
I'm
the
weaving
pink,
ancient stash on ancient melting glacier.
That's quite nice, isn't it? I like it when there's like prose through things.
Yes.
Yeah, no. The pink snow glacier piece that you've just done at the moment, the latest one, what's that woven with?
It is woven with a warp of wool silk from Christine Keller's stash.
The warp is the up and down ones.
The up and down bit.
The long ones.
Yeah, and the cross bits are woven with silk and tencel from St Vinny's.
Tencel being made from bamboo, is it?
It's tencel's
it's
made
a cellulose fibre, isn't it?
It is,
yeah.
But so you've got rayon, you've got the bamboo rayon, and you've got tencel. So tencel's a cellulosic fibre that's made in a closed system where the chemicals are captured and whereas not all bamboo and sustainable cotton fibres are equal.
Right, interesting.
Tencel's probably your better one.
The better one, yeah.
So there's a research project in there for...
Yeah, no, it's interesting. It's really interesting, those plant fibres and how they're made and which ones are more sustainable and which ones aren't and just the whole idea of...
Yeah, so I got into rayon, looking at rayon, because in another time in my life with my background in science.
From the home sciences?
Yes. I was going to be a conservator of textiles.
Oh, right.
And so my big plan was to go to the Courtauld Institute in the UK.
Right.
And then you go... and then I met my husband and went off and had babies for a wee while. But anyway, so that didn't happen. But the Courtauld Institute is set up by a man, Mr. Courtauld. And if you're a setter-upper of an institute, you've obviously made some money somewhere.
Right, yeah.
So he made his money in rayon.
Ah.
So if anyone wants a tragic afternoon, they should go and look up the Courtauld rayon factories and look at how many demented... woman he created with bad practices with chemicals in those factories.
Oh,
It'll change your mind about rayon forever.
Wow.
And make you want to embrace not only sustainable fibres but how they are made.
Wow.
So that factory workers aren't being not only having their physical bodies polluted but their minds as well.
Presumably that's practice has stopped now. No.
Oh, has it?
I don't know. That sounds crazy. But maybe that's why we've got such a rise of dementia.
Yeah, so there were quite a lot of his workers ended up in asylums.
Wow.
Yeah.
We better stop talking about this till we get some facts on it, so we don't get sued.
Oh, well, that's why people can go and look it up. There's a book.
Interesting.
There's websites. There's movies.
Yeah, now you were talking about it's crazy. All the things I don't know, it's constantly amazing to me, but then you go, that's what we're here on earth to do, is to find out more things. I don't mind not knowing things as long as I'm learning things.
Access Radio Podcast.
I know, thank you. Hey,
the best little radio station in town.
What is it, 105.4 FM?
Hey, now, where can people see your work? Is there a book out of your work, or is there some place? How can people best see your work?
The best place to see it's in Nelson. That's the only place to see it.
Right.
If you belong to the Costume and Textiles Association of New Zealand, there's a very boutique showing happening for them called Cloth Club.
Oh, that sounds nice. Where's that?
That's going to be in Dunedin.
Wow. Whereabouts in Dunedin? Do we
know?
At
the Community Gallery in July.
In July. Oh, that sounds amazing. So say the name of that again.
That'll be one night only.
One night only. So what's it? It's the Costumes and...
So the Costume and Textiles Association of New Zealand. So it's a combination of, it's just a people who have a love of textiles.
Wow.
Who are textile artists, who are stitch people, crafters, stitch activists, museum curators, museum conservators, a lot of conservators.
Wow,
so this used to be my old tribe when I was working.
Right.
And so now I've kind of moved over to the dark side. I'm an artist now.
Oh, right. Yes. Creating things for other people to curate.
Yes.
Yes.
Sounds like a stitch up to me.
Trudy, that's terrible. Hey, no, that sounds like an awesome exhibition. Now, is there a plan for a book on the horizon?
So one of the things that sometimes happens is that I make things that people want to buy.
Right.
And, people pretty much aren't rich enough to buy them.
Yeah.
So I've made
that's
a book.
the trouble, isn't it? So if you make something that's really gorgeous, but it's taken you 18 months to make.
And it's made out of...
beautiful
archival kimono silk.
Yes. I'm not giving it away.
Yeah.
And so I recognise the value of my labour, and it's difficult to put a price on.
Yeah.
So anyway, I've been doing this for a while now, and so it's a long story. I was going to do
it's a long story. It's a book.
It is a long story, but I was going to. It is a book, but I was going to do a history of the Art and Science project.
Oh, nice!
And sent off my application to Creative New Zealand, as you do when you have a bright idea.
Right. And
it's sitting in there with all of my other rejected applications.
So that's to get funding.
Yeah. So I've got a beautiful pool of rejected applications, but my rejection letters keep getting better every year. So. And I have 2 financial strategists now, so...
Oh, wow. Yeah. One of my...
It doesn't do you any good, but lovely people to hang out with.
No, but that's just parallels again between art and science. Yeah. Because, one of my...
It's the funding.
It's the funding and rejection. You just have to get comfortable with rejection.
Yeah, I do.
Keep going.
It's an exercise in, self-flagellation every year.
Yeah. No, but that's cool.
But anyway, they said, no, we won't do this whole art science thing, but we'll consider a monograph of your work.
Oh, right. Ooh. Oh, see, that's really nice, isn't it?
Yes.
Because that's basically saying, we really value you and your work.
So and then they put in another application. I didn't get that either, but I made the book anyway.
Oh, right. So how are we funding the book?
I found a couple of dollars in my back pocket.
Right, so yeah. Oh, you can put my name down. I would love a book of Pam's lovely...
Art and science.
Yeah.
Yes, it's quite challenging because if you own a piece, you're the only one that gets to see it.
Yeah.
But if you have a book...
Well, if I own it, I also get to show it to other people.
Yeah. No, but if you sell it to someone,
then
Yeah, no, it's a funny thing, isn't it? And I think
I'll have a garage sale at some stage.
The trouble with garage sales is that you have to get the audience who's got the money and the will and the knowledge to know that this
might be an object in art.
Yeah.
Or webs or Sloane's.
Fantastic. So most of your art at the moment, your actual art is around weaving? Is that what you're concentrating on?
About 50-50.
And what's the other part?
So sculptural, video, photography.
What sort of
ceramics.
Sculptural medium are we looking at here? Big things?
At different things. So sometimes it's multiples. Like but I also work with other people.
Right.
Very often. So so I work not only with scientists, but I quite often work with other artists as well. So it's a really collaborative process.
Yeah, you just quite like working with other people.
Yeah.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because I think some artists are like that. They sort of bounce off each other. I mean, scientists are like that as well.
But it's a sharing of skills. It's a sharing of ideas.
You don't just think it's a people thing. Some people work better
collaboratively. It could be. Some people and some people.
But I think there's also this myth about the artistic genius.
Yeah.
Quite often people have had other people feed them ideas, or they've gone and got a little bit of help from somewhere else. And I just like to acknowledge all those people that have helped me. So it's just a big collaboration.
Yeah. I think science is like that
all
as
those
well.
Skills together as well. So
which is another one. Another one of my big bugbears is that I really hate this idea of the genius scientist, because I don't think that exists either.
I don't think it exists either.
The ideas float around, and they're kind of whatever the preconditions are there for that idea to bubble to the surface, and there's a kind of a race to be the first person, but I think it's really detrimental to science and society as a whole, this whole idea of a genius person. And I think people need to really reflect much more on the collaborative nature of it and the people that they're working with. And it's
sort of indicative of that whole sort of individualist society we've had too. We've got the artistic genius, the science genius, the evil genius ruling the world. So it's people just need to get over that.
I think they do as well.
We're always just building on the ideas of others.
Standing on the shoulders of giants. Yeah, exactly. But I think that we don't. I think it is the pressure from science, and not from science, from science society. That happens, at least in sciences where I know it, and probably in art as well. And it's that pressure for funding, because you have to say you're this, you've done this, in order to get ahead, in order to get promotion, in order to get the next thing funded. It's all in the research grants. It's that sort of weird thing where our society
I would be in the
values.
studio and not talking to you at all. I would just be at home weaving.
Yeah,
but you do have to put yourself out there because
and you're doing a wonderful job. And we're very happy to have
I have
you
to
here.
represent this project, and I've got 30 people in this project that I have to kind of
lift them all up.
So,
and it was really lovely talking. And we would
like
to have
you to
more
have 30 people in here, because that would be more fun.
Well, that would be exciting, wouldn't it? Maybe we should do a travelling one. So when is it on? The actual exhibition for Art Plus Memory. So that is going to be...
Yeah, so our theme this year is memory, and it's so we're in the Nano Fest this year, because the Science Festival happens every second year.
Right.
Yeah. And so...
And that's sort of midwinter, isn't it? July...
8th to 20th of July.
8th to 20th of July,
and the beautiful Otago Access Radio have got their poster up already.
Oh, wow. See, they're so good here at Otago Access Radio. They're on the ball. So where do people go to see these amazing pieces?
Oh, and they'll be in the Dunedin Community Art Gallery.
You can't see them here on Otago Access Radio.
No, you can only hear about them here. No,
just in case they're getting big-headed out there.
Right, so they've got a whole gallery, and they'll all be there all together.
Yeah, so there'll be, we've got quite a lot of, so we've got a range of artists and scientists, telling their stories there this year, and there'll be hands-on art activities in the gallery every day, which we always do as well, and then there'll be pop-up workshops which will be advertised on the Science Festival program when it's released on the 7th of June.
Yep, and we might just get Pam to give us all the details of that, and we'll put that through onto the Otago Institute for Arts and Sciences Facebook page. So we'll pin that all up, and we'll put the poster up there, and we'll just get Pam to share that. I'll give you the admin key to the Otago Institute, so you can feed through. You can feed through. Yeah, you can feed through any of those things. Just share it through to that page, so that all the people there and anyone who wants to support this endeavour. Is there a way that they can do that directly? Is there like a give a little fund?
No, everyone just has to come along and have a nice time.
Just come along, have a nice time. And is it free entry?
Yeah.
Just wander in, and you can do the workshops.
Yep.
Gosh, isn't that amazing?
Except there's limits for the workshops.
Oh,
And
right.
So,
So
book
get
in,
in
yeah,
early.
yeah.
Get in early.
so the Science Festival have got the workshops that need ticketing,
Right.
and we have a limit of 10.
Yeah. So just so there's enough materials for everyone to do things.
Because that's in the school holidays, all the
Right.
children have to be attended by an adult.
Right. Yeah. No, that makes sense. So that's
This
all
year it
just...
would help if they had scissor skills.
Oh, scissor skills. Yes. No. So that sounds amazing. What an amazing opportunity there. And you get that bit of science and the bit of art all together wrapped up in a nice little bundle. What a great thing.
Yeah, and if something takes your fancy, there'll be a tour guide Barbie there that's ready to tell you all about the science.
Wow. A tour guide what?
Barbie.
A tour guide Barbie. Are we saying bad things about Barbies here?
No, a tour guide Barbie's great on science communication.
I'm just going to leave that one. Oh goodness! So, what sorts of artists have we got in this art
We
plus memory?
have Vincent Chevalon from France,
Oh wow!
who's
Ooh la la.
doing some beautiful work on whale strandings.
Wow!
Oh.
So he's been working with the Department of Conservation, Te Papa, and Sophie White from the Geology Museum.
Yeah.
I've got Gabby Malpaz from Sydney, who's doing work with Janice Lord and Susan Waddell, looking at bush fragments and memorialisation of landscape.
Wow!
Who else have we got? Sarah Shackleton from some place in Spain that I can't remember that starts with Z. She's working with Professor Dave Bilkey on episodic memory, so not just the place cells, the kind of the bit below that, the when, as well as the where for place cells.
What are place cells?
The place cells are things in your brain where your memory attaches significance to place.
Oh right.
So for things like children when they've got fetal alcohol syndrome, sometimes, if you're looking at an MRI, those cells just have disappeared. They look like nothing, so they've gone out. Ruth Napper used to do a lot of work on that.
Oh wow! Oh, that sounds
You can
interesting
get her
as
in
well.
to talk, but she's just retired.
Totally get them in. That sounds very interesting.
Yeah,
Wow.
so biological sciences, health sciences,
Yeah.
MRIs, all that kind of thing. We've got a lot of neuroscience. Yusuf Kakmak from, he's part of the university, one of the brain research centres. He's got 3 artists working with him.
Oh wow! 3.
Yeah.
That's pretty high pressure.
Yeah, so he's been amazing. So Dave Bilkey and Yusuf have also collaborated with another person. So Rachel Zajak from the psychology department, she's working with a couple of scientists. Her research is on the kind of like the validity of testimonial memory. So in the criminal system, really,
That is interesting, actually.
really
yeah.
interesting work. You should get her on.
Yeah, because they had all that crazy stuff about, the
Recovered memories.
recovered memory from kids. I don't know if that's what she's talking about, but
No.
it's just,
So it's just looking at how we create our memories, and then when we remember back, we kind of
adjust them.
adjust them and we recreate them when we store them again,
Yeah, interesting.
which is not doing justice to what her
well, yeah, if you're in a
thing is at
criminal,
all.
it's what they say about eyewitness testimony as well. Eyewitnesses are just terrible.
That's
mostly.
her research is
Wow.
around that kind of
Oh,
memory.
no, that
so
sounds really interesting.
that's really super interesting, super, super important.
And just thinking how you
and
would...
of course, and into that you can feed bias of any description you
Yeah.
like.
Exactly.
So that's really super interesting. Who else have we got? Oh, God. We've got the Moa group from Otago Museum Tuhura.
Tuhura.
So we've got
nice.
an interesting story on the Moa footprints.
Yeah, interesting.
Val Nelson's doing magnetic memory of the Earth through the hysteresis of, the planetary sort of ion bands.
Oh, yeah.
So it's that memory has been interpreted in a really broad sense.
Yeah, I was going to say there's a lot of those things that you've mentioned there that you wouldn't immediately think of as memory, but then once you explain through how they're going,
it's the traces.
We're
looking at the traces,
Yeah.
the traces, the time. And so once you start looking at traces and time, eventually you get to the idea that things change. And once you get to the idea that things change, you get to consciousness. And once you get to that, you start looking at intelligence, whales, bees. And then, of course, we're living in the third age of artificial intelligence.
Oh, gosh.
So all this, we're actually constantly asking this question. This is all the stuff that we're feeding into this next generation of intelligence. So we should really be looking at ourselves and understanding it, because artificial intelligence is built backwards from a purpose usually.
Yeah.
It's not a generative ecology. So, what is an AI rock? What is an AI bee? And my favourite question, what happens when the power goes off?
Oh yeah, goodness, let's let's not distract ourselves down that rabbit hole. It's a whole nother show there, but no. Oh,
next week. Yeah,
Hey, no, it sounds like an amazing show, and just thinking through those different topics and thinking, goodness, how would you?
Oh, I just remembered another one.
Oh.
We've got quite a few botanists actually.
Oh, nice. How are we forgetting about the botanists?
Oh, I know. Yeah. So David Burrett's research is actually how we're going to feed the planet. Climate change. We're going to have too much water, we're going to have too much heat, we're going to have too much salt.
Right.
So he's looking at the stresses in plants. Really cool project. He's working with Catherine Allard. And then we've got Heidi Dungy from Ski On, who's looking at the whakapapa of Pahutakawa and other trees. And then she's working with Becky Cameron.
Did you say, I say Scion? We're talking about the same place, aren't we?
It could be, but you can correct me if you like.
Oh, no, I just... The CRI. I was
the
CRI. Yeah.
So that's the one, yes.
So just when you said that, I was like, no, it's usually me who's been saying it, but I always think it's like it's a strange name, I think, for a CRI, but I always think it's like a...
But that place...
Do you know what it's from?
Yeah, like from a...
It's an acronym, is it?
No,
it's like a
seed or something from one of the...
Oh, okay.
It's like when you like
something
make a cutting off of something.
Yeah.
Sure.
So she's done some amazing work. So there's looking at whakapapa of trees. So I actually found her. So yes, through how did I found? There's a Neurological Foundation newsletter I get. So so she was kind of looking. That kind of came through that.
Right, it sounds absolutely amazing. Like, so, and the artists, what kind of a breadth of artists are they? I mean, they're not all weavers, right? So
no. So when people join the Art and Science Project, they think they're going to walk into a room of painters and illustrators, and they're almost always shocked. Immediately shocked that there might be two in the room of 30. So we have we have video art, photography, sculpture, beautiful. We do have this beautiful silver point artist, so that's very...
What's silver point?
So if you imagine, so it's drawing with a silver wire on a ground which leaves a trail of silver.
Ooh,
so it's like a silver
beautiful.
ballpoint, but you're using wire to create your drawing.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, so that's Catherine Allard's work, and it's absolutely exquisite.
That sounds amazing.
Just incredible.
And are these pieces, are they just for exhibition or are they for sale?
They are available for sale, but people have to talk to the artists about that because it's enough of a mission pulling all this together.
No, it's just I just was wondering what happens to the pieces after this, because it's such a specific exhibition and it's such a lot of work goes into it from both the artists and the scientists.
We have a long tail, which is so we have a book that comes out which will be launched on the 8th of July, which is imaginatively called Memory and Mind.
Memory and Mind. Oh yes, that's nice. Yeah.
And that is actually also a record of the projects that have been in the exhibition.
Right.
And there's a contact list at the back of the book that people can then contact the artists. So,
and those books, people can buy those books and just have them as a record of the art, as a coffee table book. No, that sounds beautiful.
Just a little book.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Oh, that sounds absolutely lovely. And have you done one of those books for every year that you've done these art and science? Oh, that sounds amazing.
Yeah. So we've done, in the past, we've done them as catalogues, and then there was more demand last year for them, so we decided to up our production.
Yeah, I think it's a really good idea.
And actually do them as books,
Yeah.
Which has led to all kinds of interesting stylistic problems. The other thing we're trying to do also in the project is recognise that we have a whole bunch of creative scientists.
Right.
And so the division between science and And we also have a whole lot of sciencey artists.
Yeah, it's quite blurred. Yeah.
So we have tried to break down those silos, and we just have groups of people collaborating.
Right.
And we don't have artist scientists anymore, or scientist artists. It's just this group of people who are involved in the making of this thing.
Oh, that sounds
nice,
absolutely fabulous. Hey, thank you so much for joining us on the OI podcast, Pam. It's been very interesting and a very nice, varied show for Don't Eat the Pink Snow. Thank you very much.
You heard it here.
You've been listening to the OI podcast, the shout out for the arts, sciences and mataranga Māori.
You can support this podcast by becoming a member of the OI. Check out the Otago Institute for Arts and Sciences on Facebook or our website.
If you'd like to listen again to this episode or others from the series, look for the OI podcast on OAR FM's website, oar.org.nz.
Brought to you by the Otago Institute for Arts and Sciences, the Otago branch of the Royal Society of New Zealand.
This podcast was produced by OAR FM Dunedin with support from New Zealand On the Air.